The conference room aboard the Galactic Coalition's central station was built for beings far larger than humans. Ambassador Park sat in a chair designed for the crystalline species, her feet dangling above the floor like a child's. She hated these meetings. Around the circular table, representatives from 12 different species watched her, with expressions ranging from pity to barely concealed contempt. "The Dominion has destroyed another system," announced High Chancellor, his crystalline body refracting the station's lights into rainbow patterns. "The colony of Epsilon Prime is gone. 3 billion souls erased in 4 hours. Felt her stomach turn. 3 billion. The number was too large to comprehend. Earth's entire population was only 9 billion. In just 4 hours, they had killed a third of humanity's total numbers. "We must respond," said Speaker Len of the, her energy form flickering with agitation. "Our conventional forces have failed 6 times. They adapt to every strategy we deploy." "Their shields are impenetrable," added General of the. "Our weapons cannot penetrate their defensive matrices. They are technologically superior in every measurable way." Raised her hand. The gesture looked absurd in the massive chamber, but it was the human way of requesting attention. Many eyes focused on her. "Ambassador Park," he said, his voice carrying the faint tone of dismissal she had grown accustomed to. "Does Earth wish to contribute to this discussion?" "Earth wishes to contribute more than discussion," replied, standing up despite her chair's height making the descent awkward. She activated her portable hollow projector. "We have a weapon, something that cannot defend against." The room fell silent. Several species leaned forward with interest. Humanity had been part of the coalition for only 23 years. They were considered the bobbies of galactic civilization, barely capable of faster-than-light travel. The idea that humans possessed a weapon unknown to species older was laughable. "Please," said his tone indulgent, "share this weapon with us." Took a breath. She had practiced this presentation 100 times with Dr. Bay, Earth's chief scientist. They both knew how it would be received, but desperation called for desperate measures. "We call it strategic falsehood projection," said. "The deliberate distribution of false information to enemy forces. We make them believe things that are not true. We tell them we are weak when we are strong. We tell them we are in one place when we are in another. We create fake fleets, false communications, invented intelligence reports. We lie to them, systematically and strategically." The silence that followed was different from before. It was the silence of shock. Then Speaker Len began to pulse in a way that translator interpreted as horrified laughter. You propose to lie, to deliberately deceive." "Yes," said simply. "This is obscene," clicked, his mandibles working in agitation. "Deception is the mark of a diseased mind. No civilized species engages in falsehood." His crystalline form dimmed, a sign of deep disappointment. "Ambassador Park, I do not think you understand what you are suggesting. In all of galactic history, spanning 4 million years, no species has ever weaponized deception. It is considered the ultimate violation of civilized conduct." "I understand," replied, keeping her voice steady. "But I also understand that we are losing this war. They are killing billions. They will continue killing billions. And all of your honest, honorable tactics have failed." "Because we fight with honor," Len flared. "We are not barbarians." "The were honorable," shot back. 3 billion honorable are now dead. How much honor do corpses need?" Admiral had warned her not to be confrontational. Captain had advised diplomacy, but was tired of watching humanity be treated like ignorant children while the galaxy burned. "The reason your tactics fail is biological," continued, pulling up data on her projector. "They communicate through light refraction patterns. You literally cannot lie because your emotions are visible to anyone who sees you. They are energy beings who share thoughts directly. They are telepathic. They share a collective consciousness. Every species in this coalition is biologically incapable of deception. As it should be, stated firmly. But they can be deceived, pressed on. They have never encountered lies because lies do not exist in their experience. Their entire tactical doctrine assumes all intelligence is accurate. If we feed them false information, they will act on it. We can manipulate their movements, their strategies, their resource allocation. We can win. At what cost to our souls? Asked quietly. At the cost of our survival, answered. The debate raged for 3 more hours. Species after species spoke against humanity's proposal. They called it disgusting, primitive, shameful, stupid. The word stupid came up 17 times by count. How could humanity propose something so fundamentally dishonest? How could they even conceive of such tactics? Finally, called for a vote. The resolution was simple. Shall the coalition authorize humanity to deploy strategic falsehood projection against forces? The vote was unanimous. 12 species voted no. Only Earth voted yes. The coalition has spoken, announced. Ambassador Park, Earth is hereby forbidden from deploying deception-based tactics. We will not sacrifice our principles, even in war. We will find an honorable path to victory. Gathered her materials in silence. As she walked toward the exit, called out to her. Ambassador, I hope you understand this is not a rejection of Earth. We simply cannot allow such stupidity to represent coalition values. Stopped at the doorway, she did not turn around. High Chancellor, she said quietly, you just called humanity's only useful contribution to this war stupid. When they are standing on your, crushing your civilization under their boots, I hope your principles keep you warm. She left the chamber. Behind her, she heard the shocked murmurs of species who had never been spoken to so bluntly. Let them be shocked. Let them be offended. Back on her shuttle, activated her encrypted comm link. Admiral's weathered face appeared on the screen. They rejected it, she reported. I expected as much, replied. Return to Earth, we proceed with Phase 2. Phase 2 was only supposed to happen if they approved, protested. Phase 2 was always going to happen, corrected. We just hope to do it with permission. Dr. Bay and Captain are already preparing the deception protocol. The coalition forbids us from lying. They said nothing about defending ourselves using our own methods. Felt a chill run down her spine. Admiral, if we do this without authorization, then we save the galaxy against its will, finished. I can live with that, can you? Looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there they were advancing. Somewhere out there billions were dying. Yes, she said, I can live with that. The stupid weapon was about to become humanity's greatest hope. 6 months passed like a slow-motion disaster. Dr. Bay stood in the underground facility beneath Seoul, watching screens that displayed the war's progression. Each red marker represented a fallen coalition world. There were too many red markers now. Another system lost, said Lee, the young hacker working at the console beside her. His fingers flew across holographic keyboards, compiling data from 1,000 sources. Took the 400 billion dead. Closed her eyes. 400 billion. The number had lost all meaning. How did you mourn numbers that large? How did you even comprehend them? Show me the advancement pattern, she ordered. Brought up a galactic map. The Dominion, marked in aggressive purple, had swallowed 40% of coalition space. Their advance was methodical, precise, unstoppable. Every coalition defense had failed. Every battle plan, every tactical innovation, every desperate stand, all had crumbled before superiority. They are too good, muttered. Their commanders never make mistakes. Their technology is beyond ours. How do we fight perfection? We do not fight perfection, replied. We fight the assumption of perfection. The door to the facility slid open. Commander Sorahan entered, still wearing her combat armor from training exercises. Behind her came President, flanked by security personnel. Dr. Bay, the president said, her voice tight with stress, half of my cabinet wants me to surrender Earth to protection. They say fighting is suicide. The other half wants me to arrest you for developing weapons the coalition forbade. Tell me I am not making a terrible mistake by being here. Gestured to the galactic map. Madam President, if we surrender, we become subjects. If we follow coalition rules, we die with honor. I propose a third option. We break the rules and survive. The deception protocol is ready, President asked. It is ready, confirmed. But you must understand what we are about to do. We will lie to the most powerful military force in the galaxy. We will manipulate them, trick them, deceive them. And if it fails, they will exterminate humanity for the insult. Sora stepped forward. My teams are prepared. We have special operators ready to execute false flag operations, fake communications, staged defeats. We can make them believe anything we want them to believe. Show me, President said. Nodded too. The young hacker activated a simulation. On the screens, false data streams appeared, fake ship movements, fabricated distress signals, invented intelligence reports about human weaknesses. We will broadcast that Earth's government is collapsing, explained. We will show panic in our military ranks. We will leak information that our defensive satellites are offline, our fleet is in disarray, our leadership is fractured. We will make Earth look like the weakest, most vulnerable target in coalition space. That will bring them directly to us, President said. Exactly, smiled. And when they come expecting an easy victory, they will find a trap. President studied the simulation for a long moment. Outside, the world continued as normal. Citizens went to work, children attended school, people lived their lives unaware that their president was about to authorize humanity's most dangerous gamble. Do it, she finally said. Activate the deception protocol. The operation began within hours, and his team of hackers started generating false communications. They made them look like accidental leaks, encrypted transmissions that were captured by scouts, internal memos that were accidentally broadcast on open channels, tactical reports that somehow ended up in databases they could access. The lies were beautiful in their detail. Human ships broadcasted emergency codes. Human commanders sent panicked messages about supply shortages that did not exist. Human scientists discussed weapon failures that had never happened. Every piece of false information was carefully crafted to paint a picture. Earth was breaking, its people were terrified, its defenses were crumbling. Captain coordinated the military aspects from his flagship, the Indomitable. His fleet performed elaborate maneuvers designed to look like desperate repositioning. Ships that were actually mining asteroids appeared to be fleeing. Vessels conducting routine patrols transmitted signals suggesting confusion and disorder. It feels wrong, his tactical officer, Lieutenant Song, admitted as she helped generate false fleet positions. I was raised to believe honesty was strength. Honesty is strength when facing honest enemies, replied. The slaughter billions without hesitation. They deserve no honesty from us. What if they do not believe our lies? Asked. Then we die, said simply. But if we do nothing, we die anyway. At least this way, we die fighting in a way they cannot predict. 3 weeks into the operation, the response came. Long-range sensors detected massive fleet movements. 3 full battle groups, over 1,200 warships, altered course toward the solar system. They are coming, reported, his voice mixing excitement and terror. They believe we are weak. They are coming to finish us. Admiral stood in Earth's orbital command center, watching the fleet approach. Around him, officers worked with quiet intensity. Everyone knew what was at stake. Deploy the minefield, he ordered. Over the past 6 weeks, human ships had seeded the space around Earth with 2.7 million autonomous mines. But these were not ordinary mines. They were coated with special materials that made them invisible to conventional sensors. The false data humanity had been broadcasting, convinced that Earth's defensive satellites were offline. They had no idea the mines existed. "They will reach the outer perimeter in 14 hours, reported General Shin from the Ground Forces Command. "All units are in position." Those 14 hours felt like centuries. Did not sleep. She walked through the facility, checking and rechecking every detail of the plan. Sara drilled her special forces repeatedly. Fingers flew across keyboards, maintaining the stream of false information that kept the confident and unsuspecting. Captain addressed his crew aboard the Indomitable. "What we do today has never been done in galactic history," he told them. "The Coalition called our tactics stupid. They called us primitive. They forbade us from fighting this way. But we are not fighting for the Coalition's approval. We are fighting for survival. Every person on this ship is about to become part of something that will either save humanity or doom us forever. I am proud to serve with you." The fleet entered the solar system exactly on schedule. Their formation was perfect, their approach confident. They expected frightened humans, scattered defenses, easy victory. Instead, the minefield activated. 2.7 million explosions lit up the darkness of space. Shields, designed to stop energy weapons and kinetic projectiles, had never been tested against distributed explosive networks. The mines were too small, too numerous, too close. They detonated in patterns calculated by a civilian AI programmer who had spent months designing the perfect destruction sequence. The Vanguard simply ceased to exist. 300 warships vanished in the first 20 seconds. "All ships attack formation," commanded. "Make them believe we are desperate." Human vessels that had been retreating suddenly reversed course. Ships that had appeared damaged and fleeing opened fire with weapons at full capacity. The Indomitable led the charge, its hammering shields that were already weakened by mine explosions. The encountering deception for the first time in their existence hesitated. That hesitation cost them. Human forces, though outmatched technologically, fought with the advantage of surprise and position. They knew where the would be because they had lured them there. They knew what the believed because they had fed them those beliefs. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it ended, the fleet was shattered. They had lost 870 ships. It was the first major defeat in 300 years. But victory came with a terrible price. Humanity lost 40% of its defensive fleet. 23,000 human lives ended in those 18 hours. Stood in the command center, watching casualty reports scroll across screens. She felt no triumph, only exhaustion and grief. "We won," said quietly beside her. "We survived," corrected. "Winning comes later." News of humanity's victory spread across Coalition space within days. Ambassador Park stood once again in the Galactic Council chamber, but this time the atmosphere was different. The species that had looked at her with pity now watched with something closer to fear. "You are explicit orders," High Chancellor stated, his crystalline body pulsing with what translator interpreted as anger. "We forbade deception tactics. You deployed them anyway." "You forbade us from dying quietly," replied. "We chose to live loudly instead." "You sacrificed honor for survival," Speaker Len accused, her energy form flickering erratically. "We sacrificed 23,000 lives to stop them from reaching Earth," countered. "Those 23,000 saved 9 billion. That is not dishonorable. That is mathematics." General's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "The lost 870 vessels in a single engagement. They have never suffered such losses. How did you accomplish this?" "We lied to them," said simply. "We made them believe we were weak. They came expecting easy prey and found prepared predators instead." "This sets a dangerous precedent," warned. "If deception becomes acceptable." "It already is acceptable," interrupted. "You just do not want to admit it. While you debate philosophy, they continue their advance. They have taken 40 systems since our last meeting, but now humans have proven they can be beaten. The question is whether you want our help or our silence." The council chamber erupted in debate. Some species demanded humanity be punished. Others, particularly those whose worlds were next in the path, argued for pragmatism over principle. Finally raised his primary appendage for silence. "The council will observe human tactics. We do not approve, but we will not interfere. Prove that your methods can win this war, Ambassador Park." Allowed herself a small smile. "We will do better than prove it. We will demonstrate it." Back on Earth, Dr. Bay assembled her team for the next phase. The underground facility was now staffed by over 300 specialists, hackers, psychologists, communications experts, AI programmers. They called themselves the Department of Strategic Misdirection, though the name was unofficial. "Operation Phantom Armada," announced, activating the holographic display. "We are going to create a fleet that does not exist." The young AI programmer, whose algorithms had designed the minefield patterns, leaned forward with interest. "How large a fleet?" 10,000 warships, replied. The room fell silent. "That is impossible," Lieutenant Song said. "Humanity has maybe 3,000 ships total across all our forces. We cannot build 10,000 vessels." "We do not need to build them," explained. "We only need to make them believe they exist." Over the next weeks, and his team worked miracles of digital fabrication. They created engine signatures for ships that were not there. They generated communication patterns for admirals who did not exist. They fabricated supply chain data, repair schedules, crew rotations, and tactical deployments for an armada that lived only in computer systems. Lee coordinated the distribution of this false information. "We cannot just broadcast it," he explained to Commander Sora Han during one planning session. "They would be suspicious if we handed them intelligence. We need to make them work for it." "So we create breadcrumbs," Sora understood. "Little pieces of information they have to discover themselves." "Exactly," confirmed. "A captured database here, an intercepted transmission there, a scout ship that accidentally gets too close to our fake fleet's position. They will piece together the intelligence themselves, which means they will believe it is real." The operation launched quietly. Human intelligence assets, working in deep space, began leaving traces of the Phantom Armada, a navigation buoy with recent ship registration data. An automated supply depot's inventory showing provisions for thousands of vessels. Communication relays carrying fragments of orders to fleet elements that did not exist. They discovered these pieces exactly as planned. Their intelligence services, believing they were stealing secret coalition information, assembled a picture of a massive counteroffensive fleet gathering in deep space. Captain monitored the response from his repaired flagship. "They are pulling back," he reported to Admiral. "3 battle groups are repositioning to counter our Phantom fleet." "Excellent," replied. "Inform coalition forces that sectors 7 through 12 are now vulnerable." The coalition species, desperate for any advantage, launched attacks on the weakened positions. They reclaimed 4 systems in the first week, 8 more in the second week. The convinced they faced a massive human fleet elsewhere could not properly defend their conquests. But humanity's success bred new complications. President faced increasing pressure from both human and alien factions. Some humans believed deception was morally wrong, that humanity was sacrificing its soul for military advantage. Some aliens believed humanity was becoming too powerful, too dangerous. "There are protests outside every government building," his chief of staff reported. "Human ethics groups are calling for an end to deception operations. They say we are becoming the monsters we fight." "Are we?" asked during a private meeting. Considered the question carefully. "We are doing what is necessary. They kill billions without hesitation. We manipulate information without killing anyone directly. If that makes us monsters, Then I choose to be a monster who saves lives rather than a saint who watches civilizations burn. The burden of command, sighed, making choices that keep you awake at night. If these choices did not keep you awake, you would not be fit to make them, replied. The Phantom Armada operation continued for 3 months. Coalition forces reclaimed 27 systems during that time, thus spreading their forces thin to counter a threat that did not exist, suffered defeat after defeat. But then came the incident that changed everything. Commander Park led a deep reconnaissance unit into territory. His mission was to gather intelligence on enemy fleet movements. What he discovered instead was a human prisoner. The prisoner was Commander Han, captured 2 months earlier during a border skirmish. The had interrogated her extensively. Through brutal, systematic questioning, they had learned the truth about human deception capabilities. Managed to rescue Commander Han and escape, but the damage was done. The now understood that humans could lie. More importantly, they understood that humans had been lying to them. They know, Commander Han reported from the medical bay, her body covered in injuries from interrogation techniques. They know about the Phantom Armada. They know about the false intelligence. They know everything. Felt cold dread settle in her stomach. How will they respond? They are adapting, Han replied through pain medication. Their intelligence officers were already questioning inconsistencies in our data. Now they know why. They are learning to recognize deception patterns. The first sign of adaptation came 3 days later. Coalition forces launched an offensive based on intelligence suggesting retreat from the sector. Instead of retreating forces, they found a fully armed fleet waiting in ambush. 200,000 coalition soldiers died in 4 hours. The council summoned ambassador immediately. The chamber was filled with grief and rage. You taught them to lie, accused, his usual calm shattered. They have learned deception from you. That ambush was their first successful deception operation. 200,000 beings died because of human tactics. They killed those beings, shot back. Not humans. We did not teach them to lie. We merely showed them that lies are possible. A distinction without difference, Speaker Len spat. We forbade deception because we knew it would corrupt the very fabric of civilized discourse. You ignored our wisdom, and now we all pay the price. You are right, admitted, her voice quiet but firm. Deception has spread. They now use lies as weapons. This war has become uglier, more complex, more morally ambiguous. But it is also a war we can actually win now. Before humans introduced deception, you were losing. Slowly, honorably, nobly losing. Now you have a chance. At what cost? Asked General. At every cost, replied. That is what war means. You can have your principles or your survival. Choose one. The council had no answer to that. Back on Earth assembled her team once more. They have adapted. They are using counter-deception tactics. We need to adapt faster. How do we outdeceive an enemy that now understands deception? Asked. Doctor, an expert recently added to the team, stepped forward. I have been studying biology and culture. I believe I have found something crucial. They can copy our deception tactics, but they cannot create original deceptions. Explain, demanded. Deception requires creativity, imagination, the ability to conceive of realities that do not exist, explained. Culture is built on absolute truth and precision. They can learn to recognize lies and even repeat lies they have observed, but inventing new, original deceptions. Their psychology is not structured for it. So they can only use tactics they have seen us use, understood. Exactly, confirmed. Which means we maintain the advantage as long as we keep innovating. Smiled grimly. Then we innovate. We create deceptions that cannot imagine. We push the boundaries of what lies can accomplish. There is one operation that might work, Admiral said, entering the facility. But it is dangerous. We call it Operation Martyrdom. We make them believe they have one. Operation Martyrdom was madness disguised as strategy. Captain stood in the briefing room aboard the Indomitable, looking at faces of officers who would likely not survive the next month. The plan required humanity to appear utterly defeated, broken beyond recovery. That appearance would come at a terrible cost. "We will position our fleet around Earth in defensive formations," Admiral explained, highlighting positions on the tactical display. "We will broadcast genuine distress signals, real panic, real fear, because it will be real." "You want us to actually be losing," Lieutenant Song said slowly, understanding dawning in her eyes. "We want them to believe Earth is falling," confirmed. "The only way to make that convincing is to actually put Earth in danger. We will engage forces with the genuine intention of defending our. Some of us will die. Many of us, probably." Captain Nam, leader of humanity's elite fighter squadrons, raised his hand. "What about the civilians? 9 billion people live on Earth. If the break through our defenses—" "They will not," interrupted. "Because while we fight and die here, Vice Admiral Minyu will be preparing the real strike. A hidden fleet, unknown to the, will use experimental quantum stealth technology to position itself for a decisive attack. But that fleet needs time we buy with our lives." The room fell silent. Every officer present understood what was being asked of them. They would be bait. Their deaths would be the distraction that allowed humanity's true weapon to strike. "I will not order anyone to participate in this operation," continued. "It is voluntary, if you choose to decline." "I volunteer," said immediately. "As do I," added. "My entire squadron volunteers," declared. Around the room every officer stood, every hand raised, not from bravado or foolishness but from the cold calculation that this was humanity's best chance. Their only chance, perhaps. Dr. Bay watched from the back of the room. She felt pride and horror in equal measure. These people were volunteering to die based on her strategies. The weight of that responsibility threatened to crush her. After the briefing, found Captain reviewing his squadron assignments. The young pilot looked up as she approached. "Dr. Bay," he said, offering a tired smile, "come to talk me out of my suicide mission." "Come to make sure you understand it," replied. "Your squadron's role is crucial. You will perform what appears to be desperate ramming attacks against capital ships, but you are actually deploying the quantum beacons that will guide Vice Admiral Minyu's strike force." "I understand," confirmed. "My pilots know the truth. We will make it look like panic and desperation while actually executing precise tactical positioning." "Most of your pilots will not survive," said quietly. "Most of humanity will not survive if we fail," countered. "I can accept those odds." The operation began 2 weeks later. Intelligence assets leaked information to the about Earth's catastrophic defensive failures. Lee and his team created false reports showing human government collapse, military desertions, civilian panic. But this time, the lies were mixed with truth. Earth's defenses truly were stretched thin. The fear was genuine. Commander Sara hand-coordinated special operations that made the deception believable. Her team staged protests, created footage of military units refusing orders, fabricated news reports of political infighting. To the analyzing this intelligence, it appeared Earth was tearing itself apart. "They are committing resources," reported Commander Park from his reconnaissance position. "High Command is assembling their reserve fleet, over 3,000 warships. They believe this is their chance to end the human problem permanently," President said from the Situation Room. "They think one decisive strike will break us." "They are correct," admitted. "If not for Minyu's hidden fleet, this would be our end." Vice Admiral Minyu worked in absolute secrecy. His strike force of 800 ships had been assembled in a region of space that did not know existed. Using quantum stealth technology developed by Doctor's research team, the ships existed in a state of superposition. There but not there, invisible to conventional and advanced sensors alike. The stealth will hold for exactly 47 minutes once we drop into normal space, explained during Minu's final briefing. After that, quantum decoherence will make you visible. You will have 47 minutes to cripple the fleet. 47 minutes is enough, Minu replied calmly, if we position correctly. That is where Captain's sacrifice becomes critical, continued. His squadron will deploy beacons that create quantum tunnels. Your fleet will emerge from stealth directly inside the formation. No travel time, instant positioning. Assuming pilots can place the beacons correctly while being shot at by 3,000 warships, Minu noted. Assuming that, agreed. The fleet arrived at Earth exactly on schedule. Their formation was massive, overwhelming, designed to inspire surrender through sheer presence. 3,000 warships in perfect geometric patterns, their weapons charging, their shields at maximum. Captain stood on the bridge of the indomitable, watching death approach. His fleet numbered only 412 ships. The mathematics were brutally simple. They would lose. All ships defensive formation Omega, he ordered. Make every shot count. Make them pay for every meter they advance. The battle began with an ultimatum. Surrender Earth immediately or face total annihilation. Response was a full salvo from his. The fighting was desperate and real. Human ships fought with genuine terror because they knew they were outmatched. Coordinated fire patterns that maximized damage while conserving ammunition they did not have. Across the fleet, human crews performed miracles of engineering and courage, holding positions that should have collapsed, maintaining shields that should have failed. And they were losing. Ship by ship, human defenses crumbled. The casualties mounted with horrific speed. Launch fighters, ordered. All squadrons full deployment. Captain Nam led his squadron from the Indomitable's flight deck. 240 fighters against 3,000 capital ships. The tactical display showed it as suicide, which was exactly the point. All pilots remember your training, transmitted. We are not just fighting, we are positioning. Every ramming vector is a beacon placement. Every sacrifice is a coordinate for our people to strike. His squadron scattered into attack patterns that looked like desperation, but were actually geometric precision. Each fighter targeted a specific vessel not for damage, but for position. As they closed, systems activated that sensors could not detect, quantum beacons that would guide Minu's fleet. Fighter was hit by point defense. Alarms screamed as his cockpit filled with smoke. He maintained course, his hands steady on the controls. His fighter slammed into a destroyer's shield exactly where it needed to be. The impact destroyed his ship, but the beacon deployed in that final moment, invisible and perfect. Across the battlefield, other pilots made similar sacrifices. Of 240 fighters, 218 died deploying beacons. Their deaths bought coordinates. Their courage bought humanity a chance. On Earth, billions watched the battle through emergency broadcasts. They saw their fleet dying. They saw fighters evaporating under fire. They saw the end approaching. What they did not see was Vice Admiral Minu's fleet activating quantum drives in deep space. 800 ships slipping between dimensions, following coordinates purchased with pilot blood. The quantum beacons created tunnels through folded space. Minu's fleet traveled not through normal space, but through the quantum foam beneath reality. When they emerged, they would appear instantaneously at the beacon coordinates, inside the formation. Emergence in 30 seconds, Minu's navigator reported. All weapons charged and ready, his tactical officer confirmed. We honor those who bought us this moment, Minu said quietly. Make their deaths meaningful. The fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect synchronization. 800 warships appeared inside the formation without warning, without travel time, without any defensive response possible. The who had never encountered this tactic, who had been focused entirely on the dying human fleet ahead of them, who believed victory was moments away, suddenly found enemy ships among their own ranks. Minyu's ships opened fire at point-blank range. Vessels, designed for long-range combat, had minimal close-quarters defenses. Human tore through shields designed to stop distant energy weapons. Human missiles detonated inside formation patterns that assumed safe spacing. 47 minutes, Minyu reminded his fleet. Make them count. The slaughter was surgical. Human ships targeted command vessels, communication hubs, formation leaders. The fleet, so perfectly coordinated, became a liability as human attacks disrupted their command structure. Ships collided trying to maneuver in formations never designed for internal threats. Across the galaxy, coalition forces who had been monitoring the fall of Earth suddenly detected massive energy signatures from the battle. Species who had been preparing memorials for humanity instead watched as the reserve fleet tore itself apart. Captain, still fighting with his damaged fleet, allowed himself a grim smile as he watched ships explode from internal attacks. "All human vessels advance," he ordered. "Support Vice Admiral Minyu's strike." The High Command, watching their unstoppable fleet disintegrate, made a decision that shocked the galaxy. They surrendered. The surrender came in 14 hours. Not 14 days, not 14 weeks, 14 hours from the moment Vice Admiral Minyu's fleet emerged from quantum space to the moment High Command transmitted unconditional terms of capitulation across all frequencies. Ambassador Park stood in the Galactic Council chamber for what felt like the 100th time, but the atmosphere was completely different now. The species that had called humanity's tactics stupid, primitive, and dishonorable now looked at her with something approaching awe and fear. "The war is over," High Chancellor announced, his crystalline form pulsing with emotions translator struggled to interpret. After 2 years of conflict, after billions of casualties, after the loss of 147 systems, the Dominion has surrendered to coalition forces. The chamber filled with sounds of relief from various species, light flickers, telepathic waves, pheromone releases that could not directly perceive but knew were happening. 2 years of war ended in a single day. The surrender terms include complete withdrawal from all occupied territories, continued. Forces will be restricted to their original borders. They will pay reparations. They will submit to coalition oversight. And they have specifically requested that humans not be involved in the occupation administration. "They fear us," said quietly. "Of course they fear you," Speaker Len replied, her energy form flickering with undisguised nervousness. "You defeated them using tactics they could not predict, weapons they could not defend against, strategies that violated every principle of warfare they understood. They fear human unpredictability." "As do we," added General, his mandibles clicking in an agitated pattern. "Ambassador Park, you must understand the position the Council is in. Humanity saved the galaxy. This is undeniable, but in doing so, you have introduced something fundamentally dangerous into civilized space." "Deception," clarified. "Before humans, lies did not exist in warfare. Now they do, the learned from you. They used your tactics against coalition forces. 200,000 beings died because of human-style deception." "They killed those beings," countered, her voice sharp. "Human tactics did not pull the triggers. Commanders made the choice to ambush coalition forces." "A choice they learned from you," Len insisted. "Then they learned poorly," shot back. "Because they lost, they surrendered, we won." The council chamber fell silent. Finally spoke again, his tone careful and deliberate. "The Galactic Council has reached a decision. We are creating a new position, Savior Species designation. This honor has never been granted in 4 million years of galactic history. It recognizes a species that preserved coalition existence when all others failed." Felt her heart race. This was unprecedented. Humanity will receive the savior species designation, continued. With it comes certain responsibilities. Earth will become the center for all coalition strategic warfare development. Human methods will be taught, reluctantly, to other species. However, only humans will be permitted to command deception operations, as other species lack the biological capability to create original deceptions. You are making us your official liars, said, understanding the implications. We are making you our official strategic warfare specialists, corrected. You saved us, Ambassador Park, but you also changed us. The galaxy can never return to the innocent honesty we once knew. Since that innocence is lost, we prefer to have experts guide us through this new, morally complicated reality. Back on Earth, the victory celebrations were muted. Yes, humanity had won. Yes, the war was over. But the price was written in casualty lists that seemed endless. Dr. Bay stood at the memorial wall in Seoul, where names of the fallen were being inscribed in real-time holographic displays. Captain Nam's name appeared, along with 217 other pilots who had died deploying quantum beacons. She had known most of them personally. 2,300,000 military casualties, President said, joining at the wall. 890,000 civilian deaths from attacks on Earth. We paid dearly for this victory. The coalition lost 73 billion beings total, replied quietly. We saved most of them. That has to mean something. Does it balance? Asked. The lives saved versus the methods used, the victory achieved versus the principles compromised. Had no answer. She had spent 2 years creating lies, developing deceptions, manipulating truth itself as a weapon. She had become very good at it. Too good, perhaps. Dr. Bay, came a voice from behind them. Admiral approached, his uniform bearing the new insignia of Grand Admiral, the highest military rank in coalition forces. The Council has appointed me to lead the new Strategic Warfare Division. I need my best strategist. You are offering me a position, understood. I am offering you the position, clarified. Chief of Strategic Operations for the entire Galactic Coalition. You will have authority over all deception warfare initiatives across 200 species. Looked at the names on the memorial wall. I killed many of these people with my tactics. You saved billions with those same tactics, countered. The question is whether you can live with both truths simultaneously. Captain recovered from his injuries 3 weeks after the war's end. The Indomitable had been heavily damaged in the battle for Earth, but the ship survived, as did most of its crew. He found Lieutenant Song in the ship's observation deck, staring out at Earth. We are heroes, said without turning around. The Council gave us medals. Humanity is celebrating, but I keep thinking about the lies we told, the manipulations, the deaths we caused by deceiving the into positions where we could kill them. We are soldiers, replied. We did what soldiers do, we fought, we won. We lied, corrected. We weaponized dishonesty. Before us, warfare had rules, honor, principles. Now it has deception. Did we make the galaxy safer or just more corrupt? Had asked himself the same question countless times. We made it more realistic. They were always corrupt. They slaughtered billions without hesitation. We simply stopped pretending that honor alone would stop them. 5 years passed. The Strategic Warfare Division became the most respected and most feared branch of coalition military forces. Under Grand Admiral's leadership and Dr. Bay's tactical innovations, the department developed deception protocols that became standard across coalition space. Commander Sora Han, promoted to general, ran training programs teaching alien officers human-style strategic thinking. The results were mixed. Species that had never encountered deception struggled to understand its principles. But slowly, the coalition adapted. Lee became Director of Information Operations, commanding teams of specialists who monitored galactic communications for threats. His department prevented 12 potential conflicts through strategic information management before any shots were fired. Ambassador Park retired from her position, exhausted by years of defending humanity's methods. She was replaced by a younger diplomat who understood that humanity's role in the galaxy had fundamentally changed. Humans were no longer the bobbies of galactic civilization. They were the dangerous ones, the unpredictable ones, the ones other species simultaneously needed and feared. The cost of victory became clear in other ways. Human culture shifted. Children grew up learning that sometimes lies were not just acceptable but necessary. Philosophers debated whether humanity had saved the galaxy or corrupted it. Religious leaders struggled with moral questions that had no easy answers. But the galaxy was safe. The remained contained within their borders, their military reduced, their aggression checked. No other hostile power dared challenge the coalition, knowing that humans would respond with tactics that violated every assumption about warfare. On a quiet evening, stood in the same underground facility where Operation Martyrdom had been planned. The facility was now the headquarters of the Strategic Warfare Division, staffed by thousands of specialists from dozens of species. Admiral joined her, both of them looking at tactical displays showing coalition defensive positions across known space. "We received a threat assessment today," reported. "New hostile force detected on the galactic rim. Unknown species, advanced technology, aggressive expansion pattern." "Another war," said tiredly. "Another opportunity to prove ourselves," corrected. "The Council specifically requested human strategic oversight. They want us to lie again," understood, "to deceive this new enemy before they become a threat." "They want us to do what we do best," replied. "Survive through methods others consider unthinkable." Pulled up preliminary data on the new threat. Her mind automatically began analyzing patterns, identifying weaknesses, formulating deceptions. It came so naturally now, this of dishonesty. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked, "creating this system, teaching the galaxy to lie?" Considered the question. "Every day," he admitted. "And yet, every day I remember the 73 billion beings who are alive because we taught the galaxy to lie. I remember Captain and his pilots who died buying us a chance. I remember that would have killed everyone if we had remained honorable." "So we balance atrocity against survival," said. "We balance reality against idealism," corrected. "The galaxy wanted us to fight with honor. We fought with effectiveness. History will judge whether we made the right choice." Looked at the threat assessment data. "For what it is worth, I think we did. The Council called deception our weapon. They said it was primitive, dishonorable, unthinkable, but stupid weapons work when smart weapons fail." She activated her strategic planning systems, calling up maps and data streams. "Shall we begin planning our response to this new threat?" "We shall," confirmed. "But first a question, what do we call this operation?" Smiled grimly. "Operation Necessary Lies, because that is what we do now. We lie when necessary to save those who cannot lie for themselves." Outside the facility, Earth continued its orbit around the Sun. The stars remained distant and indifferent. The galaxy had learned that sometimes survival required compromising principles. Sometimes winning meant accepting that you had become something you never intended to be. Humanity had saved the galaxy with its most dishonorable, most morally questionable weapon. And they would do it again because someone had to, because the alternative was death. The war was over, the cost was paid, the future awaited, full of new threats and new deceptions. Humanity's stupid weapon had turned out to be its deadliest decision, but it had also turned out to be the right one. At least that was what they told themselves. And sometimes, the lies you tell yourself are the most important ones of all.